the boundless expanse of the cosmos, where stars whispered ancient hymns and the universe pulsed with divine rhythm, creation thrived under the watchful gaze of Lord Vishnu, the Preserver. His presence was a silent vow, a thread of dharma weaving together the three realms, earth, heavens, and netherworld, in a delicate balance. At the heart of this harmony lay the earth, personified as the radiant goddess Bhadavi. Her emerald forests swayed with life, her sapphire oceans cradled countless creatures, and her golden plains bore the dreams of mortals. She was the mother of all, her love nurturing the very essence of existence. In the celestial realm of Vaikuntha, Vishnu reclined on the cosmic serpent Shisha, his golden form radiating serenity. His lotus-like eyes, half closed in divine repose, saw all, past, present, and future. Beside him, Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, glowed with warmth, her presence a reminder of the abundance that flowed from righteousness. The gods, Indra with his thunderbolt, Agni with his flames, Vayu with his winds, gathered to offer reverence, their voices blending with the mantras of sages chanting on distant earthly peaks. The universe hummed in harmony, a symphony sustained by Vishnu's grace. But in the shadows of the netherworld, a storm brewed. Hiranyaksha, born to the sage Kashyapa and his wife Thithi, was a demon of unparalleled might. His name, meaning golden-eyed, reflected the fierce glow of his gaze, which burned with ambition and pride. Unlike the gods who bowed to Vishnu, Hiranyaksha saw himself as the rightful ruler of the cosmos. His heart was a furnace of defiance, his mind a fortress of ego. Years of severe penance had earned him a boon from Lord Brahma, the creator. Standing on one leg, arms raised to the heavens, he endured austerities that shook the skies. Rivers paused, mountains trembled, and the gods grew anxious as his devotion intensified. Brahma appeared, his four faces glowing with divine light. "Hiranyaksha," he said, his voice like the hum of creation, "your penance has pleased me. Ask for any boon." Hiranyaksha's golden eyes gleamed with cunning. "Grant me strength unmatched by god or mortal," he said. "Let no weapon harm me, no creature defeat me." Brahma, bound by cosmic law, granted the boon, though his heart was heavy with foreboding. "So be it," he said and vanished. Emboldened, Hiranyaksha's ambition swelled. He conquered the netherworld, subduing its demons with ease. He stormed the heavens, forcing Indra to flee in shame. But his pride demanded more, a feat to cement his supremacy. His gaze fell on Bhadavi, not as a divine mother but as a prize to be claimed. In an act of audacious arrogance, he resolved to steal her, to plunge creation into chaos and prove his dominion over Vishnu himself. The day Hiranyaksha struck was one of cosmic upheaval. With a roar that shook the heavens, he unleashed his demonic powers, his golden eyes blazing like twin suns. The earth trembled as he seized Bhadavi, his hands tearing her from her cosmic moorings. The forests wailed, the oceans roared, and the mountains crumbled as she was dragged into the Garbhataka, the cosmic ocean beneath the universe. The waters swallowed her, their inky depths closing over her radiant form. Her cries echoed through the cosmos, a plaintive wail that reached Vaikuntha. The stars dimmed, the skies darkened, and creation faltered. Without the earth, life could not endure, and chaos loomed like a vengeful specter. In Vaikuntha, the gods gathered, their faces etched with panic. Indra, his thunderbolt trembling, spoke first. "O Vishnu, Hiranyaksha has stolen Bhadavi and plunged her into the cosmic ocean. The balance is broken. Creation will perish without her." Agni's flames flickered weakly, and Vayu's winds stilled in fear. Lakshmi, her eyes filled with concern, placed a hand on Vishnu's arm. The Preserver rose, his golden form shimmering with resolve. "Fear not," he said, his voice resonant yet calm like the tide before a storm. "Hiranyaksha's arrogance threatens Dharma. I shall descend as Virha the boar to rescue Bhadavi and restore the earth." The gods watched in awe as Vishnu transformed. His form grew vast, his body muscular and covered in black fur that glistened like the night sky. His tusks curved like crescent moons, sharp enough to cleave mountains. His eyes burned with divine determination, yet beneath their ferocity lay the compassion of the Preserver. Virha was both majestic and terrifying, an embodiment of Vishnu's boundless power. His hooves shook the heavens as he took a step, and his roar echoed across the cosmos, a promise of justice. With a mighty leap, Virha plunged into the Garbhataka. The cosmic ocean roared in protest, its waves rising like mountains to bar his path. But Virha was undeterred. His massive form cut through the waters with ease, his tusks parting the currents like a blade through silk. The ocean's creatures, Great serpents with scales like jewels, luminescent fish, and ancient behemoths bowed in reverence, sensing Vishnu's divine presence. The waters, though turbulent, yielded before him, acknowledging his authority. Deeper Varaha descended, his eyes fixed on the faint glow of Bhudevi's presence. The ocean's depths were a realm of darkness, where light struggled to penetrate, but Varaha's divine vision illuminated the abyss. He could feel Bhudevi's anguish, her prayers reaching him like a melody woven into the universe. "Hold fast, O mother," he whispered, his voice carrying through the waters. "I am coming." Far below, Hiranyaksha stood guard over his prize. Bhudevi, bound by his demonic powers, lay in the heart of the ocean, her radiance dimmed but not extinguished. Her form was that of a goddess, her eyes filled with sorrow yet shining with hope. She whispered Vishnu's name, her faith unwavering. Hiranyaksha, sensing a disturbance, turned his golden eyes upward. A cruel smile curled his lips. "Who dares challenge me?" he bellowed, his voice shaking the ocean floor. "I am Hiranyaksha, lord of all realms." As Varaha's form emerged from the depths, the waters parted, revealing the boar's immense silhouette. Hiranyaksha's eyes widened, not with fear but with excitement. "Vishnu," he roared, recognizing the divine presence. "You think you can reclaim what is mine? I conquered the heavens, I hold the earth, and now I will crush you." He raised his mace, forged in the fires of the netherworld, its surface etched with runes of demonic power. Varaha's gaze was steady, his voice like thunder. "Hiranyaksha," he said, "your boon may shield you from many, but it cannot shield you from Dharma. Release Bhudevi or face the consequences." Hiranyaksha laughed, a sound that sent ripples through the ocean. "Consequences? I am beyond consequences. Come, boar, let us see if your power matches your words." The battle was a spectacle of cosmic proportions. Hiranyaksha charged, his mace swinging with the force of 1,000 storms. The ocean churned violently, waves crashing as the titans clashed. Varaha's tusks met the mace, sending sparks of divine and demonic energy into the depths. The gods in Vaikuntha held their breath, while sages chanted mantras to bolster Vishnu's strength. Hiranyaksha was a master of combat, his movements swift and precise. He struck with relentless fury, aiming to crush Varaha's massive form. Each blow sent shockwaves through the ocean, threatening to tear reality apart. But Varaha was Vishnu, the eternal preserver. With a flick of his head, he deflected Hiranyaksha's blows, his tusks slicing through the demon's defenses. The battle raged for days, neither yielding. Hiranyaksha conjured illusions, serpents, fire, but Varaha's divine vision shattered them. Bhudevi, watching, felt hope rekindle. Hiranyaksha's confidence waned, his blows weakening. "How can this be?" he gasped, his golden eyes desperate. "No one can defeat me." Varaha's voice was calm but unyielding. "Your power is born of pride, Hiranyaksha. It cannot stand against Dharma. Surrender, and you may find redemption." Hiranyaksha, consumed by arrogance, lunged with his mace. Varaha caught it between his tusks, shattering it. With a swift charge, his tusks pierced Hiranyaksha's chest. A cry echoed as the demon fell, his life extinguished. The ocean stilled and the gods cheered. Varaha approached Bhudevi, his form gentle. With his tusks, he lifted her, carrying her upward. The waters parted, and the stars shone brighter as he placed Bhudevi back in the cosmos. The earth bloomed, her radiance restored. "You are creation's protector," Bhudevi said, bowing. "Your love sustains us," Varaha replied, dissolving into Vishnu's essence. In the netherworld, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha's brother, burned with vengeance. "Vishnu took my brother," he vowed. "I will destroy him." He retreated to the mountains, his penance shaking the cosmos. Brahma granted his boon: invincibility against man, beast, day, night, inside, outside, ground, sky, or weapon. Hiranyakashipu declared himself God, banning Vishnu's worship. But in his palace, Kayadu carried Prahlada, a child touched by Narada's teachings, his soul alight with devotion to Vishnu, the spark for the next chapter. In the heart of the demon kingdom, where shadows clung to every corner and fear was the currency of power, Hiranyakashipu ruled as a god. His palace, a sprawling fortress of stolen jewels and blackened stone, stood as a testament to his might. The boon granted by Lord Brahma had made him nearly invincible. No man or beast, no day or night, no place inside or outside, no ground or sky, no weapon could end his life. His golden eyes, inherited from his slain brother Hiranyaksha, burned with a hatred that consumed all reason. Vishnu, the preserver, who had descended as Varaha to slay Hiranyaksha and rescue Bhudevi, was the target of his unending wrath. The memory of his brother's defeat in the cosmic ocean fueled Hiranyakashipu's every action, a wound that festered in his heart. Hiranyakashipu's decree was absolute. Vishnu's name was forbidden, his temples razed, his devotees hunted. The skies above his kingdom were perpetually dark, as if mourning the loss of Dharma. Sages fled to hidden caves, their mantras whispered in secret, while the gods in Vaikuntha watched with growing unease. Indra, still smarting from his defeat at Hiranyaksha's hands, whispered to Brahma, "This demon's tyranny surpasses his brother's. What will become of creation?" Brahma's four faces were grave, for he knew the weight of the boon he had granted. Yet, in this realm of darkness, a spark of light was born. Kayadu, Hiranyakashipu's gentle wife, carried a child destined to defy the demon king. While pregnant, she had been visited by the sage Narada, whose celestial music and teachings of Vishnu's glories filled her dreams. Narada, with his veena in hand, sang of the preserver's love, his voice weaving a tapestry of devotion that reached the unborn child. Kayadu, her heart softened by these hymns, felt a warmth unlike the cold fear of the palace. The child, named Prahlada, absorbed this divine wisdom, his soul alight with love for Vishnu even before his birth. Prahlada was born under a starless sky, yet his presence brought a strange light to the palace. His eyes, serene and deep, seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. As a toddler, he chanted Vishnu's names, Narayana, Hari, Govinda, in a voice so pure it startled the palace servants. The maids, accustomed to the harsh commands of demon guards, whispered among themselves. How can this child, born of Hiranyakashipu, speak of Vishnu? They wondered, their voices tinged with awe and fear. The court, loyal to the demon king, watched with unease, for Prahlada's radiance was a stark contrast to their master's darkness. By the age of 5, Prahlada's devotion was undeniable. In the palace gardens, where thorny vines choked the once vibrant flowers, he sat cross-legged, singing hymns that echoed through the stone corridors. The guards, hardened by years of serving Hiranyakashipu, paused to listen, their hearts stirred by a longing they could not name. Prahlada's words were simple yet profound. Vishnu is the breath of the universe, the light in the stars, the love in our hearts. The children of the court, sons and daughters of demon generals, gathered around him, their eyes wide with wonder. Even the fiercest among them softened, drawn to the boy's gentle conviction. Hiranyakashipu, consumed by his vendetta against Vishnu, was slow to notice his son's behavior. His days were spent plotting conquests, his nights haunted by memories of Hiranyaksha's fall to Varaha's tusks. The throne room, its steps carved from the bones of fallen enemies, was a place of fear, where generals trembled and advisors spoke in hushed tones. But whispers of Prahlada's devotion eventually reached the demon king, carried by spies who feared his wrath. "Your son speaks of Vishnu," they reported, bowing low. "He defies your decree, calling the preserver the true Lord." Hiranyakashipu's golden eyes narrowed, his fists clenching. "My own son?" he roared, his voice shaking the palace. "The son of the god king worships the slayer of my brother?" He summoned Prahlada, his heart a furnace of rage and disbelief. The throne room was a cavern of opulence and terror, its walls adorned with jewels plundered from the heavens, its air thick with the scent of incense and fear. Hiranyakashipu sat on his throne, a towering figure clad in armor that gleamed like molten gold. His generals stood in rigid silence, their eyes darting nervously. Prahlada entered, a small figure in simple robes, his face serene despite the weight of his father's gaze. The court held its breath, sensing the storm about to break. "Prahlada," Hiranyakashipu said, his voice deceptively calm, "I hear you speak of Vishnu, the enemy of our house. Why do you defy me?" Prahlada, unflinching, clasped his hands and bowed. "Father," he said, his voice clear as a bell, "Vishnu is not an enemy. He is the soul of all creation, the one who protects us all. Even you, in your heart, carry his presence." The court gasped, and Hiranyakashipu's face darkened. "Silence," he roared, rising from his throne. "I am God Prahlada. I who conquered the heavens, who made the gods tremble. Vishnu is nothing, a coward who slew my brother with trickery." His words echoed, but Prahlada remained calm, his eyes fixed on his father with love, not fear. "Vishnu is in every atom," he said softly. "He is the strength in your heart, the light in your eyes. He is everywhere." Hiranyakashipu's rage boiled over. "You dare speak his name in my presence?" he bellowed, his mace slamming against the throne, cracking the stone. He tried persuasion, offering Prahlada riches, kingdoms, immortality. "Join me," he said, "and rule as my heir." Prahlada shook his head. "I seek only Vishnu's love," he replied. Threats followed, imprisonment, exile, but Prahlada's faith held firm, his voice unwavering as he chanted Vishnu's names. Hiranyakashipu's patience snapped. "If you will not obey, you will die," he declared, his voice cold as the abyss. He ordered his servants to poison Prahlada's food, lacing a sweet with venom potent enough to fell an army. Prahlada, seated in the palace dining hall, smiled as he took the offering. He closed his eyes, whispering a prayer to Vishnu, "O Narayana, you are the essence of all. Protect me as you protected Bhudevi." As he ate, the poison transformed into nectar, its deadly power nullified by Vishnu's grace. The servants, watching in horror, fled to report the miracle. Hiranyakashipu, stunned but unyielding, summoned his war elephants, beasts trained to crush armies. "Trample him," he commanded, his voice trembling with rage. Prahlada stood in the courtyard, his small form dwarfed by the towering creatures. The elephants charged, their trumpets deafening, but as they neared, they halted, their eyes softening. They bowed before Prahlada, their trunks touching his feet as if in reverence, their trumpets sounding like hymns. The crowd gasped, and Hiranyakashipu's face twisted with fury. "This is Vishnu's doing," he roared, his mind flashing to Varaha's victory over Hiranyaksha. The demon king's generals, their armor clanking, whispered among themselves. "The boy is untouchable," one said, fear creeping into his voice. Hiranyakashipu silenced them with a glare. "I will not be mocked," he declared, his heart a furnace of vengeance. Prahlada's influence grew, his classmates chanting Vishnu's names in secret groves. The demon kingdom, built on fear, began to crack under the weight of his faith. Hiranyakashipu, haunted by his brother's defeat, saw Vishnu's hand in every miracle. "I will crush this boy and his god," he vowed, his resolve hardening. Prahlada's influence spread like wildfire, a quiet rebellion against Hiranyakashipu's tyranny. In hidden groves and shadowed corners of the palace, his classmates gathered, chanting Vishnu's names under his guidance. The preceptors, Shukrakarya's sons, were furious, their lessons of loyalty to the demon king ignored. They reported to Hiranyakashipu, their voices trembling. "Your son is a danger," they said. "He turns our students against you, spreading Vishnu's name like a plague." Hiranyakashipu's rage grew, but so did his unease. Each failed attempt to break Prahlada deepened his fear that Vishnu, the slayer of his brother, was protecting the boy. The palace, once a symbol of his invincibility, felt like a cage, its walls closing in with every chant of Vishnu's name. Prahlada, undeterred, continued his teachings, his voice a beacon of hope. "Do not fear," he told his classmates. "Vishnu is with us as he was with Bhudevi when Varaha saved her." The children listened, their hearts opening to a truth beyond their king's decrees. The gods in Vaikuntha watched, their anxiety tempered by hope. Lakshmi, her eyes bright with pride, whispered to Vishnu, "This boy is your true devotee." Vishnu, his lotus-like eyes serene, nodded. "Prahlada's faith will summon my next form," he said. "The time is near." As Hiranyakashipu plotted his next move, the demon kingdom stood on the brink of upheaval, Prahlada's devotion a light that no darkness could extinguish. Hiranyakashipu's kingdom stood as a fortress of darkness, its skies perpetually heavy with the weight of his tyranny. His boon from Lord Brahma, no death by man or beast during day or night, inside or outside a dwelling, on the ground or in the sky by any weapon, had convinced him he was invincible, a god above all gods. Yet a wound festered in his heart, one no boon could heal, the death of his brother Hiranyaksha, struck down by Vishnu's Varaha avatar in the depths of the Gardhataka ocean. The memory of Varaha's tusks piercing Hiranyaksha's chest haunted Hiranyakashipu, fueling a hatred for Vishnu that consumed his every thought. His decree was absolute. Vishnu's name was forbidden, his temples razed, his devotees hunted. The earth trembled under his wrath, its rivers slowing, its forests withering as if mourning the loss of Dharma. In Vaikuntha the gods gathered, their faces etched with dread. Indra, his thunderbolt dimmed by shame from his defeat at Hiranyaksha's hands, whispered to Brahma, "This demon's tyranny surpasses his brother's. He threatens the very fabric of creation." Brahma's four faces were grave, his eyes reflecting the weight of the boon he had granted. "Hiranyakashipu's ambition blinds him," he said, "but Vishnu watches. The preserver will act." Lakshmi, seated beside Vishnu, her radiance undimmed, placed a gentle hand on his arm. "The boy Prahlada carries your light," she said. Vishnu's lotus-like eyes, serene yet all-seeing, gleamed with purpose. "His faith will summon me," he replied, his voice a whisper that carried across the cosmos. In the demon kingdom, Prahlada, now 7, was a beacon of light amidst the darkness. His devotion to Vishnu, kindled by Narada's teachings in his mother Kayadu's womb, had grown into an unyielding flame. The palace, with its walls encrusted with stolen jewels and floors paved with blackened stone, was a place of fear, but Prahlada moved through it with serene grace. His eyes, deep and luminous, held a wisdom that unnerved even the fiercest demon guards. In the palace gardens, where thorny vines choked the once vibrant flowers, he sat cross-legged, singing hymns to Vishnu. His voice, clear and pure, carried through the stone corridors, stirring the hearts of servants and soldiers alike. "O Narayana," he sang, "you are the breath of the universe, the light in the stars, the love in our hearts." Prahlada's influence was a quiet rebellion, a crack in the foundation of Hiranyakashipu's rule. His classmates, the sons and daughters of demon generals, gathered in secret to hear his teachings. These children, raised on tales of their king's supremacy, were drawn to Prahlada's gentle conviction. "Vishnu is in all things," he told them, his voice soft but firm. "He is the wind that moves the leaves, the fire that warms the hearth, the love that binds us." The children listened, their eyes wide with wonder, their loyalty to Hiranyakashipu wavering. Even the fiercest among them softened, their hearts touched by a truth they could not deny. The demonic preceptors, sons of the sage Shukrakarya, were furious. Their lessons, meant to instill devotion to Hiranyakashipu, were ignored as the children whispered Vishnu's names. They stormed to the palace, their robes billowing, and knelt before the demon king. "Your son is a danger," they said, their voices trembling with fear and indignation. "He spreads Vishnu's name like a plague, turning our students against you." Hiranyakashipu's golden eyes narrowed, his fists clenching. "My own son?" he roared, his voice shaking the throne room. The memory of Hiranyaksha's fall to Virha twisted his mind, making Prahlada's devotion a personal affront. "This is Vishnu's work," he growled, seeing the preserver's hand in every miracle. He resolved to crush his son's faith, no matter the cost. Hiranyakashipu's earlier attempts to break Prahlada, poison in his food, wild elephants sent to trample him, had failed, each miracle deepening his fury. The poison had turned to nectar, the elephants had bowed, their trumpets sounding like hymns. Now his efforts turned brutal, his desperation a mirror of the arrogance that had led Hiranyaksha to challenge Virha. He ordered Prahlada thrown into a pit of venomous snakes, their fangs dripping with poison potent enough to fell a god. The court gathered in the palace courtyard, a grim assembly of demons and terrified servants, their eyes fixed on the pit's dark mouth. Prahlada, small and serene, stood at the edge, his hands clasped in prayer. "O Narayana," he whispered, his voice steady, "you protected Bhudevi from the ocean's depths. Protect me now." As he was cast into the pit, the snakes hissed, their scales gleaming like blackened jewels. The crowd held its breath, expecting the boy's end. But the snakes, sensing Vishnu's grace, coiled around Prahlada, not in attack but in reverence. Their hisses blended into a hymn-like drone, their bodies forming a protective circle around the boy. Prahlada sat calmly, chanting Vishnu's names, his voice rising above the pit like a melody of defiance. The crowd gasped, some falling to their knees, their eyes wide with awe. Hiranyakashipu, watching from his throne, felt his rage surge like a storm. "Vishnu," he spat, his mind flashing to Virha's tusks piercing his brother's chest. "This is his doing." The demon king's generals, their armor clanking, whispered among themselves. "The boy is untouchable," one said, fear creeping into his voice. Hiranyakashipu silenced them with a glare, his golden eyes blazing. "I will not be mocked," he declared, his voice cold as the abyss. He turned to his sister Holika, who possessed a boon making her immune to fire. Her eyes gleamed with cruel confidence, her robes shimmering like molten gold. "Burn the boy," Hiranyakashipu commanded, his voice trembling with malice. "Let the flames consume his faith and prove my power over Vishnu." The palace courtyard was transformed into a stage of terror, a massive pyre erected at its center, its logs stacked high and doused with oil. Holika, clad in shimmering robes that seemed to defy the flames, sat on the pyre, her confidence unshaken. Prahlada was brought forth, his small form dwarfed by the towering blaze. The court watched, some with dread, others with cruel anticipation, their faces illuminated by the flickering torchlight. Holika smirked, pulling Prahlada onto her lap. "Your Vishnu cannot save you now," she said, her voice dripping with scorn. "The fire will end your foolishness." Prahlada, calm as ever, closed his eyes and chanted, "O Hari, you are the fire and the refuge. I am yours." His voice, soft yet unwavering, carried through the courtyard, silencing the murmurs of the crowd. As the pyre was lit, flames roared to the heavens, their heat scorching the air. The crowd shielded their eyes, expecting Prahlada's end. But Vishnu's grace enveloped the boy, a cool aura that defied the fire's wrath. The flames, as if guided by divine will, turned against Holika. Her boon failed, her screams piercing the night as the fire consumed her, leaving only ashes. Prahlada emerged unscathed, his robes untouched, his eyes radiant with faith, as if he had walked through a gentle breeze. Hiranyakashipu's kingdom stood as a fortress of darkness, its skies perpetually heavy with the weight of his tyranny. His boon from Lord Brahma, no death by man or beast during day or night, inside or outside a dwelling, on the ground or in the sky by any weapon, had convinced him he was invincible, a god above all gods. Yet a wound festered in his heart, one no boon could heal: the death of his brother Hiranyaksha, struck down by Vishnu's Virha avatar in the depths of the Gardhataka ocean. The memory of Virha's tusks piercing Hiranyaksha's chest haunted Hiranyakashipu, fueling a hatred for Vishnu that consumed his every thought. His decree was absolute. Vishnu's name was forbidden, his temples razed, his devotees hunted. The earth trembled under his wrath, its rivers slowing, its forests withering as if mourning the loss of Dharma. In Vaikuntha the gods gathered, their faces etched with dread. Indra, his thunderbolt dimmed by shame from his defeat at Hiranyaksha's hands, whispered to Brahma, "This demon's tyranny surpasses his brother's. He threatens the very fabric of creation." Brahma's four faces were grave, his eyes reflecting the weight of the boon he had granted. "Hiranyakashipu's ambition blinds him," he said, "but Vishnu watches. The preserver will act." Lakshmi, seated beside Vishnu, her radiance undimmed, placed a gentle hand on his arm. "The boy Prahlada carries your light," she said. Vishnu's lotus-like eyes, serene yet all-seeing, gleamed with purpose. "His faith will summon me," he replied, his voice a whisper that carried across the cosmos. In the demon kingdom, Prahlada, now 7, was a beacon of light amidst the darkness. His devotion to Vishnu, kindled by Narada's teachings in his mother Kayadu's womb, had grown into an unyielding flame. The palace, with its walls encrusted with stolen jewels and floors paved with blackened stone, was a place of fear, but Prahlada moved through it with serene grace. His eyes, deep and luminous, held a wisdom that unnerved even the fiercest demon guards. Into the court fell silent, then erupted in whispers. "A miracle," a servant cried, tears streaming down her face. "Vishnu protects him." The event, later celebrated as the Festival of Holi, shook the demon kingdom, its story spreading like wildfire through the streets and villages. Hiranyakashipu, watching from his throne, felt a chill despite his rage. "Vishnu protects him," he growled, the memory of Virha's triumph over Hiranyaksha vivid in his mind. "But I will not yield." His desperation grew, his heart a furnace of hatred. He ordered his soldiers to cast Prahlada into the ocean, tied to stones heavy enough to sink a ship. "Let the waters claim him," he said, his voice trembling with a mix of fury and fear. The cliffs overlooking the ocean were a stark contrast to the palace's opulence, their jagged edges lit by the moon's pale glow. The court gathered, their faces grim, as Prahlada was brought forth, bound with ropes and tied to massive stones. Hiranyakashipu stood at the forefront, his golden eyes fixed on the churning waves below. "No god can save him now," he muttered, but his heart wavered, haunted by the memory of Virha lifting Bhudevi from the same cosmic ocean. The soldiers cast Prahlada into the depths, the stones dragging him downward with a force that seemed to pull the very air from the night. Prahlada, sinking into the abyss, closed his eyes and prayed, "O Govinda, you lifted Bhudevi from these waters. Lift me now." The ocean, as if hearing his call, grew calm. The stones, heavy as mountains, began to float, their weight nullified by Vishnu's grace. The waves parted, forming a path of shimmering water, and Prahlada emerged on the shore, his robes dry, his face serene. He stood, chanting Vishnu's names, his voice a melody that echoed across the cliffs. The crowd gasped, some falling to their knees, their eyes filled with awe and fear. "Vishnu," a servant whispered, her voice trembling. "He is with the boy." Hiranyakashipu's generals, their loyalty tested, whispered of Vishnu's power. The demon king's rage was a tempest, but a flicker of fear crept into his heart. "This boy is Vishnu's weapon," he said, his voice low and venomous. He ordered his elite soldiers, armed with demonic weapons forged in the netherworld, to attack Prahlada. The soldiers charged, their blades gleaming with runes of dark power, their shouts shaking the cliffs. But as they struck, their weapons shattered against an invisible shield, fragments scattering like stars in the night. Prahlada stood unharmed, his hands clasped, chanting Vishnu's names with a calm that pierced the chaos. The soldiers fell back, their faces pale, their courage broken. Prahlada's miracles were a rebellion that shook the very foundations of Hiranyakashipu's kingdom. His classmates, now devoted to Vishnu, gathered in secret groves, their voices rising in chants that echoed Prahlada's teachings. "Vishnu is in the trees, the stars, your heart," he told them, his words simple yet profound. The demonic preceptors, desperate to maintain control, stormed to the palace. "Your son undermines your rule," they said, their voices trembling with fear. "He must be stopped or the kingdom will fall." In Vaikuntha, the gods watched with a mix of anxiety and hope. Brahma, his 4 faces grave, whispered to Shiva, "Hiranyakashipu's actions threaten Dharma itself." Shiva, his trident gleaming, nodded. "Only Vishnu can restore the balance," he said. Lakshmi, her eyes bright with pride, looked to Vishnu. "Prahlada's faith is your strength," she said. Vishnu, his lotus-like eyes serene, nodded. "The time is near," he replied, his voice a promise that echoed through the cosmos. In the palace hall, a cavern of opulence and terror, Hiranyakashipu confronted Prahlada. The throne room was adorned with stolen treasures, its air thick with the scent of incense and fear. The demon king sat on his throne, his armor gleaming like molten gold, his mace raised like a scepter of doom. "Where is your Vishnu?" he mocked, his voice dripping with scorn. "Show me this god you worship, this slayer of my brother." Prahlada, his small frame unbowed, replied with a calm that silenced the court. "He is everywhere, Father, in the stars, the air, this very pillar." His finger pointed to a massive column, its surface gleaming under the torchlight. Hiranyakashipu laughed, a sound that chilled the hall. "In this pillar?" he sneered, his golden eyes blazing. "Let me see your god." With a roar, he swung his mace, the impact cracking the stone. The hall trembled, dust falling like ash. Then a sound unlike any other, a thunderous roar that shook the cosmos, erupted as the pillar split open, heralding the arrival of NARSHIMHA, Vishnu's half-man, half-lion avatar, to fulfill the promise of divine justice begun by Varaha in the depths of the cosmic ocean. The grand hall of Hiranyakashipu's palace was a monument to his hubris, its towering columns carved with scenes of his conquests, its walls encrusted with jewels stolen from the heavens. The air was thick with the scent of incense and the weight of fear, as demon generals and trembling courtiers stood in rigid silence. Hiranyakashipu, his golden eyes blazing with rage, towered over his son Prahlada, who stood serene at the hall's center. The boy, only 7, radiated a light that defied the darkness of his father's reign. His devotion to Vishnu, the slayer of Hiranyaksha, had withstood every trial: poison, elephants, fire, and sea. Now, in this final confrontation, the demon king's patience had shattered. Hiranyakashipu's hatred for Vishnu was a fire that had burned since Varaha's tusks pierced his brother Hiranyaksha in the cosmic ocean. Every miracle protecting Prahlada was to him a taunt from the preserver, a reminder of his brother's defeat. "Where is your Vishnu?" he mocked, his voice dripping with scorn, his mace raised like a scepter of doom. Prahlada, his small frame unbowed, replied with a calm that shook the hall. "He is everywhere, Father, in the stars, the air, this very pillar." His finger pointed to a massive column, its surface gleaming under the torchlight. Hiranyakashipu laughed, a sound that chilled the court. "In this pillar?" he sneered. "Let me see your god." With a roar, he swung his mace, the impact cracking the stone. The hall trembled, dust falling like ash. Then a sound unlike any other, a thunderous roar that shook the cosmos, erupted as the pillar split open. From its heart emerged NARSHIMHA, Vishnu's half-man, half-lion avatar. His mane blazed like a corona of fire, his claws gleamed like lightning, and his eyes burned with divine wrath. The gods in Vaikuntha gasped, the demons fled, and Hiranyakashipu froze, his boon suddenly fragile. "Vishnu," he hissed, his hatred flaring one final time. Narasimha's form was both terrifying and divine, a paradox of ferocity and grace. His lion's head roared, shaking the palace to its foundations, while his human-like body moved with a power that dwarfed mortal strength. The courtiers scattered, their screams echoing as the hall's walls cracked. Hiranyakashipu, gripping his mace, stood his ground, his golden eyes blazing with defiance. "You think you can defeat me, Vishnu?" he shouted, his voice a mix of rage and desperation. "I am invincible." No man, no beast, no weapon can end me. Narasimha's eyes locked onto Hiranyakashipu, their gaze piercing the demon's soul. Your boon is nothing before Dharma, he said, his voice a growl that resonated through the cosmos. With a leap, Narasimha charged, his claws slashing through the air. Hiranyakashipu swung his mace, its runes glowing with demonic power, but Narasimha's strength was unstoppable. The mace struck his arm, only to shatter into fragments, its magic dissolving under the avatar's divine might. The demon king staggered, his confidence wavering, but his hatred for Vishnu, rooted in Varaha's victory, drove him forward. The battle was a cosmic spectacle, the hall crumbling as the titans clashed. Hiranyakashipu conjured illusions, flames, serpents, shadows, but Narasimha's divine vision tore through them. His claws raked the demon's armor, sending sparks into the air. The gods watched from Vaikuntha, their hearts pounding. Indra whispered to Brahma, "Can even Narasimha uphold the boon's conditions?" Brahma's four faces were grave. "Vishnu's wisdom is boundless," he said. "He will find a way." Hiranyakashipu fought with the desperation of a cornered beast, his blows fueled by memories of Hiranyaksha's fall. "You took my brother?" he roared, lunging with a spear. Narasimha caught it, snapping it like a twig. The demon's strength waned, his golden eyes flickering with fear. "No one can kill me," he gasped, but Narasimha's growl silenced him. "Your pride has blinded you," the avatar said, his voice echoing with divine authority. As twilight fell, casting a liminal glow over the palace, Narasimha seized Hiranyakashipu, dragging him to the threshold of the hall, neither inside nor outside. With a swift motion, he placed the demon on his lap, neither on the ground nor in the sky. His claws, no weapon forged by mortal or god, gleamed as he struck. The boon's conditions, no man or beast, no day or night, no inside or outside, no ground or sky, no weapon, were met with divine precision. Narasimha tore through Hiranyakashipu's chest, his roar drowning the demon's final scream. The hall fell silent, the air thick with the weight of justice. Hiranyakashipu's body crumpled, his golden eyes dimming, his reign ended. The court stood frozen, the demons trembling, the servants weeping with relief. The gods in Vaikuntha erupted in cheers, their voices ringing through the heavens. Narasimha stood over the fallen king, his form radiant with divine wrath, his mission complete. The cycle begun by Varaha's defeat of Hiranyaksha was fulfilled, the demon brothers' tyranny ended by Vishnu's dual avatars. Prahlada, watching from the hall's edge, clasped his hands, tears streaming down his face. "O Narayana," he whispered, "you have answered my prayers." But Narasimha's rage did not subside. His roar shook the cosmos, the earth trembling, the skies darkening. The gods, sensing danger, approached with caution. Brahma, his four faces pale, said, "His wrath threatens creation itself." Shiva, his trident in hand, tried to calm Narasimha, but the avatar's fury was unyielding. The demons cowered, and even the bravest courtiers fled. The universe hung in the balance, its harmony at risk once more. Prahlada, small and serene, stepped forward, unafraid. His classmates, now devoted to Vishnu, watched in awe as he approached the towering Narasimha. The avatar's eyes, burning with wrath, softened as Prahlada began to sing. His voice, pure and unwavering, carried hymns of Vishnu's glory. "O Narayana, you are the refuge of all, the love in every heart." The words wove a melody that pierced the chaos, calming the air. Narasimha's mane ceased its blazing, his claws retracted, and his roar faded into a gentle hum. The gods watched, tears in their eyes. Lakshmi in Vaikuntha smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "This boy's devotion is unmatched," she said. Narasimha knelt before Prahlada, his lion's face radiant with love. "You are my true devotee," he said, his voice now soft, like a breeze over a tranquil sea. "Your faith has brought me here as it brought Varaha to Bhudevi. Ask for any boon." Prahlada, his eyes shining, replied, "I seek only your love, O Lord. Let me serve you always." Narasimha placed a hand on Prahlada's head, blessing him. "You shall rule this kingdom justly," he said, "spreading dharma where your father sowed fear." The avatar's form began to dissolve, merging back into Vishnu's essence, but his presence lingered in the hall, a reminder of divine justice. The gods sang hymns and the earth bloomed, its harmony restored. Prahlada, now king, stood before the court, his small form radiating authority. The demons, once loyal to Hiranyakashipu, bowed, their hearts touched by the boy's faith. Prahlada's reign was a golden era, his kingdom a beacon of righteousness. He rebuilt Vishnu's temples, welcomed sages, and taught his people the path of devotion. The scars of Hiranyakashipu's tyranny faded, replaced by the light of Dharma. The gods visited, offering blessings, and Bhudevi herself, rescued by Virha, smiled upon the earth. The narrative of Virha and Narasimha wove a tapestry of divine love, their victories over the demon brothers a testament to Vishnu's eternal role as preserver. The story reflected on the cycle of Dharma. Virha's rescue of Bhudevi restored the earth, while Narasimha's triumph protected Prahlada, ending the threat begun by Hiranyaksha. Prahlada's faith, unyielding against his father's wrath, mirrored Bhudevi's trust in Vishnu. The gods, in Vaikuntha, meditated on Vishnu's wisdom, his avatars a response to Adharma's rise. He is the thread that holds creation, Brahma said, his four faces serene. Shiva nodded, his trident gleaming. His love is eternal. The narrative closed with philosophical musings on devotion, dharma, and the preserver's role. Prahlada's hymns echoed through the ages, celebrated in festivals like Holi and Narasimha Jayanti, his story a reminder that faith could conquer even the mightiest evil. The earth flourished, its harmony a gift from Vishnu, whose avatars, Virha, Narasimha, and beyond, ensured the universe's balance, a cycle unbroken by time.